I'm here to give you greater confidence in scissor cutting men's hair. With this video, you'll forget any fear you ever had of scissor cutting hair, and I want you to go away with a complete understanding of how to accomplish a highly commercial men's scissor cut. My name's Michael Home, I've been a barber for over 20 years, and let's get this cut started. In order to control the haircut, we want it to be wet. This is going to relax the hair into its natural state, and I'm going to be able to manipulate it into certain positions. So I'm going to start by combing all the hair on top out of the way, and the hair on the sides, I'm just going to pull that down. In order to cut methodically, it's a good idea to use sections. So these sections will be the width of the comb, and we're going to work from the front to the back in sections. So if I pick up a section and grip it with my fingers, that'll allow me to have a small amount of hair between the fingers, and I can trim that away. It's not too much for the scissors to cut. And by going from the front to the back, it's in a nice, organized way. You don't need to be too precise quite yet, because this is just removing the bulk, the majority of the length, before we refine it with a technique called scissor over comb. I'm not going to go all the way around the head initially. I will be doing that, but I just want to cut one section at a time. So I've covered that area, and now I can pull it all down and I can use what I call scissor over comb. So scissor over comb is basically you put in the scissor and you pick up sections from the top down towards the bottom. These are horizontal sections. And the reason I like to scissor over comb from top to bottom is because I don't like the long hair lying on top of the hair below it. So if you work from the bottom up, you're going to have more weight lying on top of your comb. Once you've cut your first section, you can step across to the next section. So we'll just move along, and you're picking up the hair and you're trimming it down. Now there's my guide. You see that short hair from my first section? I can use that to keep myself right as I'm cutting the next section to the left. The key to this technique is the comb. I hold the comb between my thumb and my middle finger, and I place my index finger on the comb, and that allows me to flip the comb quite easily. So it's just flipping and flipping, and you can see it here again. Comb down, turn the comb over and pick up. And make sure that you keep that comb in front of the ear when you're cutting. You see how I have it on top of the ear? That puts plastic between the ear and the blade, and that keeps it safe. For the finer hair around the ear, place the back of the scissor blade against the ear like I'm doing here, and that keeps the blade away from the ear as well. As long as you can see that there's no ear sitting on that blade, it's nice and safe. You don't want any accidents, okay? So stay on top of the ear with the plastic, or use the back of the blade and make sure it's pointing away from the ear. So I'm going to cut my way down again, scissor over comb. I keep my comb on top of the ear. Now we've gone back far enough that it's time to take some more vertical sections. So I'm working my way around the head. That area at the right hand side of the head is covered. So we need to move around, take some more of this bulk away, and that will allow the scissor over comb method. This haircut, by the way, is a highly commercial haircut. It's one of the most common scissor cuts that I do, and I've done thousands of them. So if you can learn this technique, you will do it all the time. With the bulk removed there from higher up, I can take horizontal sections again, but lower down here, I still have some long hair. You see that? We didn't take the bulk away. That's okay. You can scissor cut down into that as long as the bulk was taken away above it. It's because you don't have too much hair in the comb now. So you can just keep working your way down, and I actually get closer as I get down towards the bottom of the neck. I'm going to illustrate that in this video a little bit better in a couple of minutes. But you can see that's the side and that bit at the back, so I can move over and I can take more horizontal sections. Now I'm looking for my guide from the area that I just cut, and I use that to keep myself right. I know that I have the right length as I work my way across. It's important that you try and see that guide. You don't have to work as fast as I am working. You can work at your own pace, but try and see the guide. Moving on to the next part, let's do more vertical sections. So I'm just going to work my way over, take some of this bulk away, and that again is going to make it easier for when I move on to doing my horizontal sections. Now, by the way, I just want to say I also do teach barbering on Udemy, and I'll leave a link in the description of this video where you can see my Udemy courses. More horizontal sections now. So scissor in, flip the comb up underneath, move down the head slightly, put the comb in again, cut, comb the hair down, and then repeat. So we just work our way down towards the bottom. Look, there's my guide there. We don't want to lose that. Keep an eye on where that should be. Now, this may seem unrefined to you, but it's actually quite refined. You can go at the end when the hair's dry and refine it further, but it's best to try and be as accurate as you can be when you're doing scissor over comb. So keep working your way across. Now, if you have any fear of doing this at all, I want to say to you, don't worry, because you can do it. I reckon that you could do this 10 times and you'll have it mastered. It's really that easy. It's just the comb flip, which is the hard thing. I'm reaching for more water here because it's important that you keep the hair wet. If it starts to dry out, just get some more water and blast it. It's going to relax the hair and it'll be easier for you to control. Also, when you're cutting the top, you won't have dry hair falling on your client's face, which can agitate them and they can start moving around, which makes it harder for you to cut hair. So let's keep it as simple as possible. What you don't want is a mix of wet and dry hair, because that's two different states you have then. You want to have it all the same, so preferably all wet. Obviously, if it was on the clipper, you want it dry. Now, I want to show you this here, okay? I'm leaving this illustration up so you can see how I pick up the hair and how it gets gradually shorter and the angles are changing as I work my way down the head. This is going to create what I would call a taper effect. So you're getting closer to the neck, closer to the skin as you work your way down towards the bottom. You can see that there. So I'll just step across. I'm going to work my way down towards the ear here. I'm just checking this area over. There's not too much to cut there. Once you get quick at this, it'll take you no time at all to repeat a little section. So I'm coming up to the ear here. Need to be very careful. Make sure I keep that comb in front of the ear. You don't want any ear in between your two blades. It happened to me once when I was training. It was a horrible thing, and believe me, you don't want that to happen in the shop. You'll have to give out a free haircut. You're going to have to apologize to your client. And your reputation is very important, so take care. Now you can see here, I want to show you the camera, because the camera in this video is exactly where I want to be standing, and it's very frustrating when you're trying to cut hair with a camera in the place where you want to stand. Posture is very important. You really want the client to be in front of you when you're doing this. So about the head, around about your chest height, so that your scissors and your comb are right in front of you and you're not straining yourself. You can see I'm coming in from the side here because the camera is where I want to be. Filming with a camera gets you into all kinds of funny shapes. So a little bit more water. Make sure it's nice and wet. And on the ear, again, you want to cut away from the ear. Very difficult with a camera in front of you. I'm reaching right over. Okay, once that's done, we can move on to the top. So for the top, I'm going to make myself a guideline, and this will keep me right. This will help me know that I've got the right length all the way through the hair on the top. So if I pick up what we call a profile guide, this is a guide that as you work from the back to the front, you'll be able to see every time you pick up a section, and you'll know that you're cutting the right length of hair. So I'm going to go from the back to the front, profile, because it's the side of the head you're looking at when you pick this guide up. And I'm actually going to double this guide up for you so that it becomes really obvious. You can double up the guide if you want. So I'll make it twice as thick as this, okay? And that's going to make it really easy for when we pick up the subsequent sections from the back to the front. So here's my second guide. This won't take me long to do. I already have my first guide. There it is. So I'll cut down to that length. You could cut the whole top like this by doing profile sections, but I don't generally cut that way. I tend to work in sections across the head from left to right. So that's that nice big guide in the middle. You can't even see it when it's combed down, but it is there. When I pick up the hair, you will see it. So my profile guide went through the middle, and I'm going to pick up all these sections to try and find my profile guide. So hook of the comb, drag the hair across, comb the other hair forward, and pick up. Now look at that little short bit in the middle. That's from the profile guide. So I can cut down to that. And then if I step forward, I use the hook of my comb again, comb that hair out of the way, and pick up this hair on the top. The profile guide is in the middle, and I can just follow that. Let's comb all this over, and hook of the comb in again, comb the hair forward, and pick up right at the root. Try and get the comb right into the root. There's the long hair. Now, what I'm going to do, I've decided I want to show you another method as well. I'm going to pull all the hair over. Okay, now I was dragging it over with the hook of the comb, but I'm going to pull it all over now. Put a little bit more water on it. This is a faster way to cut. Okay, so because it's all combed over, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the comb in, and I'm going to pick up one comb width's worth of hair. Okay, and I'll just kind of throw it to the side, and then I'll pick up another comb width's worth of hair. It kind of saves you with the sectioning a little bit when you do it like that. So let's get that last section at the front there. We'll pick that up. And there you go. Not much to take off because we did do a really thick profile guide. Where there will be hair to take off though is to the side of that. Let's go to the left-hand side. Because we have this section down the middle, it means that we can then take some sections at the side, and we should be able to find short hair in the middle that acts as a guide for you. So you can see in my fingertips there's some short hair. So I'll pull the hair up to that short hair, and then I'll cut the rest down to that length. So far, we've had a section in the middle. We're on to the left. You can see that there's a pattern here and a methodology. I would say that if you can pick up hair with scissors and cut it, then all you need is a methodology to do it correctly. You just need some way to cut hair in order. Now, the way that I'm cutting hair here, this is not the only way that you can cut hair. There's thousands of ways that you can cut hair. Over to the right-hand side, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to pick up the hair, I'll pull it up, and I'll cut it just like I did on the other side using my guide in the center. So I'll lift up to the short hair on the inside of my knuckle this time, and I'll just cut down to that length. So like I was saying, a methodology. What methodology are you using? Do you use this, or do you use something different to this? And do you prefer it? Let me know in the comments how you prefer to scissor cut hair. I do know some people will look at this and they'll say that isn't the way that you should cut hair. Let me tell you, it doesn't really matter what way you cut hair as long as you have a methodology. Now this section here, we've done the top, we've done the side, we need to connect the top and the side. So if I pull that out, there's going to be some long hair between the top and the side. It's what we call corners. So I'm cutting the corners off. At the end of the sides and the top, you should always cut your corners off if you're using this methodology. So I'll cut this side, I'll do the other side. I'm not going to show you the other side just for speed, but this is the way you do it. Cut all these corners off. At the front, when you're cutting the corner off, pull the fringe all the way back so that it's what we call over-directed. And this is going to mean you're going to cut the corner off, but you're not going to cut the fringe off. So you're pulling it back. That means the fringe has a long way to go to reach, so it's kept long. And then comb it down and have a look. For the fringe, because we've already cut it well on top, I'm going to leave it just on the bridge of the nose, but I don't want to put any tension on it. I'm not going to pull it down with my fingers. I'm just going to let it rest on the comb. Now the comb is straight, so you know that the fringe is straight, but I'm going to chip across it so that it's not too blunt. Okay, so it's just the fringe hair is just relaxing on the comb. And step round to the side, and of course do the other side as well. Now you can see how this fringe lays. It's pretty natural. It's just lying right on the eyebrow line, and it's not too heavy because What we did, that method that I was showing you on top, that's what you actually call a layering method. So imagine like a bunch of layers starting from the back to the front. Let's get this dried off. Okay, we still have some work to do. I have to do the little trimmer work on this cut. So I'm just going to go around. I've got this little trimmer from Supreme Trimmer. It's like, it's what you would call a skeleton trimmer. So the end of it is cut out. And that's actually quite good for visibility. You can see a little bit better through the trimmer, especially when you're going around the ears. So I'm just picking up with comb and I'm softening the edges. I run the clipper over the comb, known as clipper over comb. And at the side here, be careful not to go in beyond the hairline, okay? If you go in behind the hairline, it's going to start looking like an operation. So all I want to do is take off the hair around the ear, and you can see the visibility there. Like, it's really handy not having that casing around the blade. Okay, that's a bit better, but at the side here, remember again, don't go in beyond the hairline. And you should know, right, if you actually have a good look, you can see what is neck hair and what is head hair, what's from the scalp and what's from the neck. Only take off the neck hair. The minute that you go in beyond the hairline, it starts looking wrong, okay? It's like you've had your eyebrows removed. It just doesn't work. So just be aware of that. Look closely before you start cutting. I'm gonna flip that comb over and just do clipper over comb, just to pull out any long hairs that are hanging in there. If you can't comb the long hair over the ear, what I just did there, put the comb in and flip it out, that's the way to do it, okay? And at the back of the neck, again, also be careful not to go in beyond the hairline. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm just using the comb to pull down. The hair kind of grows up the way slightly, so I'm dragging it down with the comb, and I'm just going to run clipper over comb to soften it. Once that's done, I'm going to look over this, and I'm just going to go in scissor over comb, and I'm going to check over the haircut. Now, this is like what you would call maybe cross-checking. I'm using a longer scissor now just because I have one. If you don't, you can use whatever scissor you've got. It's just checking over, looking for any imperfection. It is easier with a longer scissor because you can take big sections with a big long scissor, and you can look right across the section and you can see any imperfections. Now I'm going to comb this through. Here's what we started with, and here is what we have at the end. Now this is, as I said, a highly commercial haircut. You will do this day in, day out in a barber shop. It's very popular. What do you think? Is this a system that will work for you? Let me know in the comments. Let me know if you would do it differently, and let me know if there's anything that you want to see, you want me to show on the channel. I'll always do my best. If I can get a model, I'll try and do it for you. Okay, good luck with your scissor cutting, and I'll see you again in my next video.